If you are watching on YouTube, feel free to come on over and join us here on Whatnot. Hello, Whatnotters. How are you guys? Welcome in. Okay, you guys, I am just putting down below my notification tag. If you guys want notifications when I come on, just a little bit easier sometimes to get those notifications. Go ahead and bookmark that item below. Definitely do not swipe across it because you definitely do not want to be paying that kind of money. And if you do swipe and it goes through, that means you are loaded and we got to become friends. Just saying. Okay,
It wouldn't
you
hurt if
guys.
they did that.
Right?
It wouldn't hurt my feelings if they did
Right.
that.
You guys, my husband Jeff is here and he is kind of watching the comments for me and helping me make sure that I answer your guys' questions. You guys, I'm Jen with Four Hearts ABCs, and this is a seller support. So if you are here to buy something, I'm not auctioning anything off, but there are things loaded in the bin just in case. So feel free to look at that if you would like. But this is not a selling show. This is all about community support and sharing information, answering some questions, and that kind of thing. So, you guys, I have been on the Whatnot platform for a little over a year, and I decided, a year is long enough to start doing these seller supports. Not that I know everything. I would never agree to say that I knew everything. I am always learning. Things are always changing. Even if you master a platform, the algorithm's always changing, trends are changing. So no one on this platform or any other is ever going to be an expert, but it is fun and really interesting to jump onto these seller supports and to get information, be able to answer those questions. Thank you for sharing the live stream, my friend. And we're going to try to do that because after a year I've learned quite a bit, and I actually am going to try to do these shows a little bit different than some of the other ones that I've seen on the platform. And I'm going to be inviting some co-hosts in to be doing these with me. I was supposed to have a friend of mine come on tonight, and we actually ended up deciding that she should go to lunch, to dinner with her son instead of coming on here and enjoying some family time. So she will not be joining us. So it's just me and my lovely husband Jeff watching the comments. So feel free to ask questions. But what I wanted to do tonight for this very first community chat with you guys is to talk about 10 things that I wish I would have known when I started my Whatnot business. And I think that's a good place to start. Um, Now, the friend of mine that I was going to have join me, her name is Marianne with Little Miss Crafty. If you guys are not following her, you should go definitely give her a follow and bookmark her upcoming shows. She's amazing. And we were on a train together and we started communicating and found out we had a lot in common. And one of the things we had in common was the fact that we both started right about the same time. So that's part of why I wanted her to come on to this community chat with me and to be able to share her stuff that she's learned over the last year as well. But it's me, and we're going to go through it, you guys. So, none of these items are in any particular order. They're just things that I jotted down in thinking about things that I've really learned a lot in the last year, and things that maybe I would have liked to have known a little bit about before I started the business. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them just are what they are, right? I think the first thing that was the biggest oops for me is when I started with Whatnot, I knew I had watched a lot of shows, I had watched YouTube videos, I had done a lot of research on what to expect, how to set things up, and that kind of stuff. What I did not know and nobody really talked about it, was that when you are weighing out your items, so items are um, shipped by weight. And when you're weighing out your items, my first oops on my very first show was I put in the weight of my item, right? I thought, okay, I don't want to overcharge my customer. So I'm going to just weigh the item and put it in for what the item is. And I very soon realized after my first show was over and I went to go ship all my items that every single order was wrong because I did not account for or know that I needed to account for the weight of the shipping materials. That is not included in what whatnot is calculating for that weight. So you need to include your boxes, your bubble wrap, your paper, even something as stupid and small as the note and the sticker that you're going to be putting on your box. That all weighs and it all is right. Hey there, how are you, my friend? That is something that I didn't even realize was a thing. I wish I would have. It would have saved me a lot of heartache on my very first shipping. Yeah, and money because I did actually lose a little bit on my first show because I did not know that was a thing. And Whatnot does give you, I think it's 5 a week. 5 a week, you can make adjustments within certain parameters. I mean, you're not going to put something in for 1 pound and it's 50 pounds and have Whatnot cover that. They're just not going to do it. But within reason, Whatnot will give you fixes a week, which since I've learned, thank you for the share, my friend, since I've learned a little bit more about that shipping profile and how that works in the last year, I rarely have to make those adjustments, and if I do, it's normally small tiny adjustments. So shipping, once you get the hang of it, is actually not that hard. It is actually probably the part that everybody hates the most about being a seller on the platform, but it really isn't very hard. Um, the other awesome thing about Whatnot and their shipping is the fact that they are beating everyone else out there. There's a lot of selling platforms, and Whatnot is definitely doing really well at making sure that's something that our customers don't have to suffer greatly with, right? So shipping is actually not something that I'm really strong at talking about, and I'm not going to go too much into that with you guys. There are a lot of videos out there, like on YouTube and seller supports here on Whatnot, that they really go into a lot of detail about shipping. So I would highly suggest, if you are just starting out or if that's an area that you struggle with, that you definitely look into those. And I've been on Whatnot as a seller for a little over a year. I just hit my 1 year. I was a customer first. I jumped on to be a customer. Thank you so much. I joined as a customer wanting to spend my first 3 months ordering from people and seeing how it worked, seeing what their shipping was like how did things come from them, what was the customer service like, what that kind of stuff, and so like watch people's shows and how do they run their shows and that kind of stuff. So my first 3 months on Whatnot was as a customer, and then because I knew I wanted to sell. I've been in my own business for just about, I would say, 17-ish years. And so I kind of knew that was the direction I was going to go, but I wanted to make sure I knew what I was jumping into before I fully did that. So So shipping is definitely something that I wish I would have known a little bit more about before I jumped in. Okay. And there are, like I said, there are a lot of little bits and things that you can learn about the shipping. But my number one thing I wish I knew was that I had to add in the weight of my shipping materials. So just know that if that is something that if you're just starting, that's something you need to know. Okay, so here's my number two. And again, none of these are in any particular order. And yes, I technically am full time on Whatnot. I don't do anything outside of Whatnot for my business. I've had a brick and mortar. I've done home shows. I've done craft fairs, expos. I've had a
Consignments.
consignment booth in different places. So I have done, no, that's okay. All the questions, that's what this is all about. It's all about asking questions and getting those answers. But I've done all kinds of different platforms. I've even done like, tried Marketplace for a while, tried the Bay for a while. And Marketplace is a lot of meeting people in strange locations,
Sketchy situations.
and I've also seen that like the Bay, it's a lot of like your stuff is sitting around waiting, and the fees that they charge are pretty high. Um, so it's not, that wasn't really for me. So um
And she's been on for 4 years.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, she's. I've been cyber stalking her. She's pretty successful. She's.
My husband cyber stalks everyone that comes on. He wants to know who you are, what you're doing, and how he can help you.
Uh, Robin
So
Dust has got a medical bag that looks like it might be Vietnam era. I might have to go and look at that one.
she's blushing. You've made her blush.
Oh,
Okay, well, Jen Deals, we actually have the same name because I'm Jen, and there's a lot of us out there. I like to say that Jennifers are taking over the world because there's enough of us to do so. Okay, so yes, absolutely. How many best friends were in your school named Jennifer, right? Okay, so the next thing, and again, these are not in any special order, is doing shows and getting bookmarks. Okay. So I wish I would have known when I started. And this was something that actually I reached out to a very pretty successful um Whatnot seller.
sure.
And I also followed her on other platforms before I came over to Whatnot. And one of the things that she gave me the advice, and it was one of the best advice pieces I had gotten, but I didn't get it right away before I had started, was to set up your shows well in advance. So when you are setting up a show, so let's say we're doing a vintage show and I'm going to be doing a vintage show and I'm setting it up and it's just miscellaneous vintage items. There's no super like niched down thing about it, right? Set up 10 of those shows. Set up 10 of those shows, and you can always go back in and you can make changes. You can change the date. You can change the title. You can change basically everything in that show you can change if you need to. And the great thing is with those in there, you can tell people as they come into your first vintage show that you set up to, hey, go on in and bookmark my upcoming shows, right? You have something there for people to go and bookmark, to be getting those people to come back hopefully to you. It is it's a great way to get that ball rolling for you, even if you need to make those changes down the road. That's okay. I'll be honest, there's a lot of sellers that I follow, and unless they have a very specific day and time of the week that they come on, I don't know when they're coming on. I don't even know when my bestie's coming on. And I miss a lot of her shows because I'm not great at checking back and setting an alarm. But um, most people don't even know when your show's going to be. That's part of the whole getting notifications. That's the bookmarking shows. That's all the things, right? And the more you get bookmarks on your shows, the more it's going to push you up in the algorithm. So you want those bookmarks, even if it's not going to be for the date that you have it on, or the exact title that you're going to keep it at. Now, I would not suggest that you set it up as a vintage show and then you turn around and change it
It's a Pokemon
and do minis
or Pokemon.
or Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, those people bookmarked your show because they want to see that kind of content. It doesn't mean you're boxed into that content as a seller, but it does make a difference in what they're actually bookmarking your show for. Because to be honest, I personally would not go and bookmark a unless I'm just trying to help another seller with their algorithm. I'm not going to bookmark clothing. Okay, I'm not a clothing person. I have to try it on, I have to touch it, feel it, all the things, right? So clothing buying online is not my thing. I'm not going to do that. But if I've bookmarked a show and then they change it to clothing, I'm going to go in and then I'm probably going to go right back out of that show. So definitely set up your shows, do 10 at a time if you can, and then make your changes as you need to. But you definitely want to have shows set up so that when people come in to your show or follow you from another show, they have something to bookmark and come back and see you again. So that is one thing I wish I would have known that I'm adding in on this. Okay, the next thing is your bin. What is a bin? It is a buy it now section. Okay. So if you go right down into the spot that says shop, you're going to find not only your shop, your items that are for auction, but you're also going to find the items that are to buy it now, your bin. And the bin is an amazing way to sell items, you guys. It is a way that you don't even have to go live if you want to sell items here on Whatnot. It is best if you do. I mean, who doesn't love interaction? And this is part of what makes us different on Whatnot than other platforms is we are interacting with our customers and we're getting people joining in on the conversation and meeting each other and all the things, right? And we're talking about our items and sharing information about them. But if you are, let's say you're just in it and you need to just sell the items and you can't have the time to come on live. That doesn't mean you can't join the Whatnot platform. You can definitely load it all in your bin and you can sell straight out of your bin. So people can search for an item. So let's say I needed to look for let's say a plate set a dish set that I really am looking for. Okay. So a dish set that I really went on other platforms to find is a dish set called Strawberry Fair. It was a specific pattern that my mother in law wanted. And so me and her went on and we searched out every single Strawberry Fair that we could find. So if you go up to the search bar here and Whatnot, you can type in Strawberry Fair. And everybody who has that item or the title that's related to that item in their shop um listings, their title of their shows,
Descriptions.
the name of their their
Descriptions.
well in the descriptions, if their username has something with strawberry, it's all going to pop up, y'all. So but you can look for those items. So if somebody's looking for that, they're going to be able to find it if they go up to the search bar. And if it's in your bin, in your buy it now section, there's a good chance you can sell that item without going live. Another great thing about the bin is that you can be going on an auction and you can be selling the items live and at the same time selling items out of your bin, having people fill their boxes, especially if they have a the capped on the shipping. People want to fill that box. They want to get the most they can, right? Also, if you have lower priced items on there, $1, $2, $3 items, they can also buy those items and support you as a seller to help you reach your 1,000 sales, which is a important piece to being a seller here on the platform. And we can dive into that later, but everybody wants to hit that 1,000 sales. That is kind of their first tiered goal, is to hit that 1,000 sales. If you have smaller items in your shop, in your bin, that helps you get to those things. I would suggest going in and seeing what other people have in their bin. See what kind of items other people are selling. If you're seeing a trend, that means that most likely a lot of people are looking for those items and those items sell well. For me, I do a lot of smaller items like cards, like postcards, stickers. People love the playing cards. I did a lot of brass, little figurines at one point. A lot of that kind of stuff people love. Seasonal stuff people love. So look for those things, look for what is trending, and then find those things out there and put them in your bin at a low price. But it has to be a price that doesn't make you lose money as well. So make sure that even though it's less in price, you're not cheating yourself. Okay. Okay. Another thing that I wish I would have known. Okay, is that followers and customers are not the same thing. Okay. I see this a lot on the platform, especially now that I am aware of it. It like triggers in my mind. You see a lot of sellers go on and they get all these followers, which followers are amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about it. But they are celebrating those followers in a way that is losing them money. They're going to have a show and they're going to celebrate hitting a certain milestone, let's say, for their followers. Okay. And let's say they hit 1,000 followers. So for 1,000 followers, about, oh my goodness, 1,000 followers, they're going to have a everything for the show is starting at $1. That is not going to get them any money. Okay. And the reason why is you can follow anyone. I can follow someone that does clothing, but am I going to buy from someone that does clothing? I really am not. Um, Not because they're not an awesome person or a seller or whatever, but that's just not my thing, right? But I can follow them. Okay. I can go into a train and the train, as I'm riding it, the people on the train are collecting followers by doing giveaways. Sure, I'll get in a giveaway. Why not? I love free stuff. Who doesn't? So that automatically makes me a follower of theirs. But maybe I don't want what they have to sell. So a follower doesn't equal a customer. So I would highly suggest if you're going to do a celebration show, do a celebration show for things like hitting another kind of milestone, like your 1,000 sales, right? Or something like, hey, you know what? I did a sold out show. So now we're going to do a celebration, something along those lines. But I would not celebrate hitting a certain milestone in your followers because followers do not equal customers. Okay. So, the next thing is raids. What are raids? Why do I want to raid? Why do I want to raid somebody else? Right. So before I started, I knew about raid trains, which is totally something different. But I didn't know what a raid was. And so I was watching and kind of not understanding before I started. And now what it is when I go on and I do a show, I can be rated, which means somebody else brings their people and their friends, their customers into my show. They have rated me. Okay. That is an amazing thing because that potentially is new customers in my show that may not have seen me otherwise. So we celebrate that. A lot of people celebrate it in a lot of different ways. I personally celebrate raids by um, doing a giveaway, just a way to say, hey, thank you for coming into my show. Everybody get into that giveaway. Somebody in the room is going to win. That's how I do it. I know some other sellers, they will go ahead and they will start a $1 item for celebration of the raid, okay? And they'll do a one item at that $1 start in celebration that may or may not pay off for them, and it may or may not be something that those raiders are interested in, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. Another way that people do it is they will go through and they will highlight the seller that rated them by reading their profile and that kind of thing, so that the people who are already in their room, their customers, will get to know the person who rated into them. Okay. That's not a bad thing. I do like to tell my customers that are in my room to go ahead and follow the person who is rating me, because if they're coming into my show and they're bringing their friends and customers, then I want to make sure that I am thanking them by asking my customers to go and check them out. So that is what a raid is. Now, if you are in a show, so let's say I'm having my show and I'm ending my show, and I say, okay, you guys, let's go ahead and let's find somebody we can raid. And that means I'm going to take all of you with me and we're going to go plop into somebody else's show. Right? We're going to go check them out. We're going to go see what they have to offer. It's a nice way to end my show without just being like, bye, bloop, nothing, right? So it's nice. It's a fun way just to continue the ride, because we're all on Whatnot. We may not be ready to be off of Whatnot when the seller that we're on is done selling, right? So that is what a raid is. And the most important part about a raid, something that a lot of people don't know, and I definitely did not know this actually until probably 8 months in, is that if you are in a group of people that raid into another seller, if you go in and then you say, oh, this isn't for me, or oh, I was done, I only wanted to watch so and you click out of that person's show right after you raid into them, that is going to hurt them in the algorithm. So what I would suggest is, if you know that you only wanted to watch so and so, you're not into going into somebody else's show, I would suggest you click out before they raid. Okay. Or if you go into another person's show with a raid, stay around, stick around for 5 minutes, see what they have to offer. See if you vibe with them. Maybe they've got something and it surprises you. Okay, you can check out what kind of shows they have coming up to bookmark some of them. You can check out what's in their shop, in their bin. All of that could take 5 minutes. If you stay for the 5 minutes, you're not going to hurt them in the algorithm. And it's just really a nice thing to do. So that's what a raid is. And that's why we do that around Whatnot. Okay. Now, I did say something about trains. And yes, it is the kind that, the choo choo, there it goes down the way. But obviously, it's on a platform. So, what does that mean? What is a train? Okay. Something that you should know before you start selling on Whatnot is, you want to be a part of a train. You want to be a customer on a train. You want to watch a train. You want to do all the things that have to do with train. If you see something that says a raid train, you want to pay attention to that. Okay. So, what a raid train is, let's start there. It is one theme of a show. Okay. So, one theme. So, let's say we're doing a minis raid train. Okay. So, everyone on the train is going to surround themselves in that theme. Everyone on the train is going to be doing minis. Okay. And so everyone has a time slot So there's a schedule of who's going on when, and normally there is a train conductor or two. That is someone who is actually putting the train together. Those are the people that you want to find out who they are. You want to know if they're your kind of people. And then if you like the kind of trains that they conduct, you want to contact them through Messenger, through whatnot, and let them know that you're interested in their trains. Now, what I would say is if you are interested in joining a specific train, then you want to kind of watch a train or two to see if it really is your thing. Do you have the items needed? Are you going to be able to fit into the crowd, right? Um, when you go into a train, what it does is someone's going to start off, normally the conductor, and they're going to say, okay, thank you for joining. Everybody's here. Let's go raid into the next person on the train. So, like the next car, right? The engine and then the car. Is that the right word? Car? Yeah, car. So then you're gonna jump. So everybody does the same thing, a raid, normal raid, and everybody jumps from the engine over into the car. Okay. We watch them. They're gonna be doing their minis. Okay. And they're gonna do their show, and then they're gonna end their show, and they're going to raid the next car. And so everybody's going to jump and go over into the next car, and so on through the train until you get to the caboose, which is basically the end of the train. So every train is different. Every train is fun. I've yet to have a bad train. Trains are great because trains not only help you with your sales, they help you with finding new followers and new sellers. They help you, kind of theme your items because maybe you don't really know what you want to do with certain items, but then something comes up with the train and you're like, oh, I got items for that, right? Okay. Trains are awesome. You want to take part in them. They are a lot of fun and they're a great way to connect with people and see what's trending, see what people like. So, trains are definitely something to look for. Okay. Another thing I wish I would have known when I started with Whatnot is the giveaways. Okay. There's a lot of controversy and a lot of different opinions on giveaways. Um, but giveaways are basically exactly what it sounds like. The seller is giving away something. Okay. You don't get your money back. It's what you're putting out there for your customers. Um, a lot of people you will find are doing stickers, ephemera, that kind of stuff. It's because it's doesn't cost as much money to give it away. And it's not a lot of investment, but it is a nice way to say, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining the show. Let me give you something for being here, right? It's just a lot of fun. Everybody loves something for free, and it does help get followers, but it also helps people engage and people feel like they're a part of the community when they're in your show, when you're giving giveaways away. Now, there are some people who they just don't want to give anything away. And that's perfectly fine. It is not a mandatory thing. Um, and there are some people who give away huge things. Those are normally the bigger sellers because they can afford a little bit more gift giving than some of the smaller sellers. So just know that sometimes, a giveaway is just a small item, just a way to engage with your sellers um, and or your customers. But there's two different kinds of giveaways. There is a followers giveaway, which means that anybody that's following you can get in on that giveaway. That's a great way to get followers. That's a great way just to thank everyone that's in the room. Um, and then there is a buyer's giveaway, which means only people who have bought from you during that show can get in on that giveaway. And that's a really cool one because whatever you're paying out for shipping, it actually helps reduce their shipping. And sometimes that means they'll spend a little bit more because they know that you're helping with their shipping. Um, it's also really awesome because you're already giving them a box with stuff in it. So now you can give them something a little extra. It's just a nice way of thanking people for supporting your business and buying from you. So that's a buyer's giveaway. Some people don't even do those. Some people decide that they want to just give every single buyer a little something extra. That's fine too. If you can put something in the box and it's not going to make the shipment go over the weight, why not? That's up to you and however you want to run your business. So that's giveaways, but do know that it is the item that you're giving away comes out of your pocket, and the shipping costs are also something that comes out of your pocket. So it's something that you have to decide what you're going to do. Um, Another thing that I wish I would have known, and this one is actually really come home to roost, I guess. I think that's the saying. Um, Here this past couple weeks for me is the community. Okay, the community is amazing here on Whatnot. There is a lot of people who are here and they just want to sell, and they just want to do their stuff, right? I mean, everywhere is going to have that. But I have never seen a group of people be so engaged with each other. And if you are following someone and they follow you back, Whatnot calls you friends. Okay, that is what you are now. You if you both follow each other, you are now friends according to Whatnot. And I think that's kind of appropriate in the community. That I have noticed is people really have a way of becoming online friends here on Whatnot. So people like to support each other. People like to help each other get to that 1,000 cells. People like to just raid into each other to show support. There are so many things that I have noticed in how people support each other and the community as a whole here on Whatnot. So if you are looking for a community of people that are like-minded, that like the same things you do, that doesn't mean that you have to like vintage decor. Because the thing is there are so many categories here on Whatnot to select from. There's a Pokemon category, there's a gaming category, there's hunting and fishing category, there's crafting category. There's so many categories out there on Whatnot that even if um you don't vibe with what I do, that doesn't mean that you can't find your space here. And there are a lot of people out there. So that's really a fun and cool thing for sure. Okay, we're getting down to it, you guys. Okay, so the next thing I wish I would have known when I started Whatnot is to load your items into your shop or to do random pulls. If you've been watching Whatnot for a little while, you'll notice there's a pretty good mix of people. Some people have things in their shop and they're showing the items that are in the shop. Like you can pre-bid, you can look at it ahead of time, you can see it. But then there's also people who do what is called random pulls. And that's basically they don't know what they're going to be showing. They're not going to show you what they're going to be showing before the show starts. And you have to go to the show to see if it's something you're interested in. Both ways are successful. Both ways are successful. I personally find it easier and less stressful, both in the show and in shipping, if I do the preloaded way of selling. So I take the picture, I weigh the item, I put it in the computer system, and it is down in my shop before my show starts. This is a great way to do it because yes, I can get pre-bids. Yes, people can see what I'm going to have and decide to come into my show, but it also helps me through my show know what it is that I'm going to be showing, letting people request what I'm going to be showing, that kind of thing. And then when I sell that item, I know that this item is going to this person because it's in the system, right? So versus doing the random pulls. Okay. A random pull. I'm just going to pull this Wade off the shelf and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to run this Wade. This is what it's all about. If you want it, swipe away. And then when it's sold, this item now has to have a sticker put on it, or it has to go in a bin with that person's name in it, or I have to watch back the video to know who got that item. It's not a bad way to sell it, but it is also a little bit more time consuming in the shipping process. So you have to kind of weigh it one way or the other because you're either taking the time to load it or you're taking the time when you're shipping it sometimes. Now, when I do my mini show is one of those that I do random pulls because there's so many items. I'm not going to list all of these. But the way I do it is I have a little bucket or baggie, and then I write the customer's name on there, and everything they get goes in there. So when I am shipping it, I know that this whole little section of stuff goes to this buyer. Um, I also do random pulls when I do my vintage book items. And that I actually pre weigh and pre write out the information on the book onto a note. And then as I show the item in a random category, then I can jot down who at the time got it so that I know who got that specific book. But otherwise, I do like to have things loaded. Everybody does it different. There is no right or wrong. But if you are a brand new seller, I would highly suggest that you go ahead and load the items into your shop for the first couple shows. Slowly get used to how to do a random pull and then decide if you like it or not. I find random pulls when they are really random, they're not minis, they're not books that I've already weighed. If I'm just setting up a whole bunch of stuff on a shelf and then people are just telling me what they want me to show them and sell to them, then it's chaotic in my brain and I'm trying to figure out how much am I wanting to charge for that? Okay, now I got to weigh it. Okay, now I got to, it's chaotic in my brain personally, so I don't like it and I don't do it that way. But you have to do what works for you. So that's the two different ways that people normally sell. Um, Something else I wish I would have known. Now, this is technically my number 10 that I'm going to share with you. And again, none of these are in any order. But number 10 would be categories. So I sell in the vintage decor category. But I don't like to be boxed in and I like to do a lot of different things. So that doesn't mean that I have to sell in the vintage decor category. It just means that that's what I signed up for initially. Okay. So, like I said, I sell vintage books, and so I can go into the book category, or I can go into the craft category if I decide that I'm going to start doing my crafting, which I have decided to do. So you can switch categories. My mother in law has some Pokemon that she found that she decided to buy 20 years ago. And I know that Pokemon goes really well here on Whatnot. So I can go on and select the Pokemon category and I could sell those items for her if she chose for me to do so. Now the thing is the people who follow me, they know me for what I normally sell, right? I normally sell vintage decor and books and sometimes crafts, but they don't know me for Pokemon. But when I select that in my category when I'm setting up my show, it is going to notify and put me in the category, my show, I should say, in the category of Pokemon. So even though I don't normally sell that, the people here on Whatnot that do normally watch those shows are going to potentially see my show. see my items. If they search bar it and they're looking for a Pokemon item, my item is going to come up in that search bar. So you don't have to be in the category you initially select is my point that I'm trying to make. And categories is also another one that this was kind of a fun little hack. Here's a hack for you. I sell vintage and antique books, right? So when I set up my show, I set it up in the category of books. That will help the people in the book category see me and bookmark my show. But I can change it the day of the show and change that category to vintage decor because don't we vintage decor people love to decorate and put old books in our decor? Yes, yes, we do. So why not double dip? Why not get both of those customer bases in your show if you can? And I could do it the opposite way. I could put my books in as vintage decor and then the day of switch it to books and, vice versa. You can do that. That's a good way to get those people in. You want as much exposure as you can, especially when you're just starting. Okay, that has pretty much been my top 10, but I have a bonus one for you because why not?
What?
Why not? Okay, setup. Your setup does not have to be perfect, people. It does not have to be perfect. Mine, I started it not because I'm afraid to be in front of the camera, but because my space was not ready. I started with everything in front of me. The camera always faced my items, it never faced me. And I had this little tiny shelf that I put everything on, and I just rotated the items through. Um, you don't have to have the perfect setup. What is behind me has been an evolving thing, and I still am not 100% happy with it, and I probably still will change it, maybe even a million times, as my husband hates to know. Your setup does not have to be perfect for you to do a show. You don't have to be face to face with the camera. If you don't want to show your face, and sometimes, let's be honest, I don't want to show my face because I don't feel like I'm having a good face day. Um, so I won't. But most of the time, I feel like I can engage a little bit better if I am facing the camera. And if nothing else, I'm engaging with myself as I see my reflection, which is kind of silly, but it is a great way of knowing what your customer is seeing if you're actually seeing it. But yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to. If you don't want to, just start your shows not being in front of the camera. Start your shows where you're showing one item at a time and the camera is just focused on just that item. That's a perfectly fine way to do it. Okay. Um, the thing to know here's my number one tip of all tips. Okay. Number one tips. The hardest part of Whatnot is having the courage to push that start show button. That is the hardest part. Is just saying I'm going to do it and just do it. There's no right, there's no wrong. If somebody tells you that they know the secret sauce, they're lying to you because there is no right, there is no wrong to Whatnot. There is you're selling an item, you sell it how you want to sell it, how you feel comfortable selling it, and it either sells or it doesn't. That's it. You have to have the right item at the right price at the right time for the right buyer. All those things have to line up for you to sell that item, and it doesn't mean that that item is not sellable. um Perfect example, my mini show, the last time I did a mini show, I did it on a Monday. It was a mini Monday, and I went on early in the early late morning, early afternoon, late morning. Okay. And pretty much sold, I think, 3 items in an hour. Like, people were coming in, they were going out, nobody was really wanting to buy anything. Okay, it happens, right? But I had it all set up, and I was like, "Well, I just don't feel like I did what I needed to do. So I rescheduled another show for later that evening. I went on in the evening, exact same items. Nothing changed except for my time. I sold way more. I felt very successful and it was a great show. Nothing else changed except for the time. So it has to be the right time, the right item, the right price, and the right customer.
Your husband was there.
Oh, and maybe have your husband as your mod. Just saying. But that's really all Whatnot is. It is just a great platform to sell the items you love to people that you want to engage with. And I just say, if you're thinking about starting a Whatnot business, just do it. Just do it. And if you have started a Whatnot business and you didn't know some of these things, I hope I was helpful to you. We're going to be coming on every other week and we're going to be doing these community and seller support chats. I'm really excited to do the next one. We're going to be doing it with the fabulous Bobby Dazzle on the 24th of this month, you guys. And we are going to be talking with her about raid trains. I kind of touched on that today, but she's going to really jump into it. Both her and I have conducted trains, we've been on trains, we've watched trains, we've done all the things, right, with trains. But she really is into trains, and that is where she wanted to focus our chat. And so I'm very excited to hear her input on it. So I highly suggest you guys come and bookmark that show, come back and join us when we do that show. And you guys, thank you guys so much for being here and watching this video and being with us tonight and adding into the chat and all the things, because this really is a great community and I'm glad to have the opportunity to come here and help if I can, and hopefully I did help a little bit tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and like I said, let's figure out who we can raid tonight. Let's see who's on. And you guys, if you're here and you want to, oh, I see some people. If you guys want to help the seller, make sure you stay on the 5 minutes. And if you are like, I just can't do it, then go ahead and pop on out. That's okay. There is no harm in popping out before you do. Let's go on into the I hope you guys are here for vintage decor because that's where we're gonna go. Let's go check out Terry's attic. She only has 5 people. I think that she could use us coming on in, and maybe that'll make her night. I hope so. So stick around, you guys. Hopefully, she has great things. Share lots of love with her, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye, guys.